and not really haven't done much traveling again aside from holidays here and there when I was younger, which again really grateful for. Never actually going away for long stints. I done Thailand with my brother when I was 18, and that was more of a party holiday. Like didn't mean I came back with a drink. I came back and I was in algae like. But this we've been away in Bali for a month. We've been here for a couple of weeks now. That's taught me so much. Seeing how other people on the other side of the world, they've so little, but they're so happy. I always come back to Ireland with gratitude. I always come back to Ireland feeling really grateful for the little things in there.
Yeah, even small conversations I wouldn't have with a lot of people. Like, for example, we were out for dinner last night at like a taco van, and we were sitting around. It's like literally like a children's play set, and there's like 6 seats around it. So you sit with randomers, and there was me and Daniel, 3 French women and 2 older British women. But the 3 French women were talking about the fact that they had to go back to Paris to go back to work. And they were almost like, how can you just travel so much? And then you realize, like, fuck, you can't take everything for granted. And then it's even like the case of, like, I really enjoy traveling because I also really enjoy home when I do go home. So, like, if I'm away for like a month with you and then I'm away for a month again, and then I go home, I'm almost like, I look forward to not just mum, dad, sister. I look forward to the food. I look forward to everything. So for me, it's that case of like, you don't realize what you have until, so it's nice to constantly get that reaffirming of like, you don't realize what you had until it's gone. It's like even sleeping in your own bed, like after that week away, you come back and it's fucking like, it's definitely groovy. But traveling's been good for me. It's good because we work in the same flow. But as you said, it's more so a case of what it opens your eyes to, and you get, it makes you have to be more outgoing to make friends. You have to be more confident. It builds character as well, because like you do get caught in situations like yesterday where there's blackout and you have no electricity, and you're sort of like, fuck, you have nobody to talk to, you have no signal, you have no Wi-Fi, you have no net, and you're like, fuck, and I'm by myself. You're sort of like, well, what the fuck do we do, Joe? So yeah, like I just enjoy it because it spices things up. And for me, I don't know about you, but I find that if I spend too long in one place, days roll into weeks, weeks roll into months, and months roll into years very fast. And whereas the more I move about, which I know everybody doesn't have this luxury, the more it feels like I've lived different lives.
Yeah, but I think there's always something to have. Yeah, as you said, there's different lives, but having something to look forward to. And I think everybody could take that into a lesson. If we always have a trip, even if that's a weekend away for 2 days down in the country planned, you're always going to have something to look forward to. And when I have something to look forward to, I'm so much happier day to day. Again, it's people talk about dopamine, and when you order something online, and the best bit about it, the best buzz about it is when you're actually waiting to get it, and when it comes, you don't get that hit. And I was actually listening to a podcast, and it was this neuroscientist, he was on talking about dopamine and the pleasure you get when you order something online, and he says it's very similar to when you have a holiday booked. And he says, if you want to be excited day to day, if you want to be excited for your life, always have something planned, always have something booked. And you're testament to that, man. You're Mr. 305, 365. But you seem to be very grateful no matter where you go. Like, you seem to be always pretty content. And I hear a lot of people chatting shit about LA, chatting shit about London, chatting shit about even back home in Ireland. Why do you think that you're at the complete other school of thought? Like, you always seem to be pretty happy no matter where you go.
It's because I always ask myself, like, I think one of the main things that people do is, like, whenever they're taking risks or gambles, and they go, this sounds a bit off tangent, but, like, when people are taking risks or gambles, I always go, what's the worst case scenario? And they go, my worst case scenario is I live at home with my mum and dad. And I'm like, oh, I already do that time period. So I'm like, I'm in worst case scenario. So then it makes me grateful that I'll get away. And then I think when you have the right perception of a trip, it's like, when you go on holidays and you have this expectation that everything's going to be unbelievable, whereas I always go with extremely low expectations of everywhere, and anything is good for me. So if the food's good, I'm happy. If it's not raining, I'm happy. It's a case of, but like, it's just for me being like grateful for the small things. So even at home, if it's raining, I'm grateful that like I have a cup of coffee, I have good food. I'm just very much always working on thought process. And if I ever get that negative mind frame, I always do the case of, I used to write out like 5 to 10 things why it's positive. So like, if for example it's raining at home and I've like all my moods up, I'd be like, Joe, well, I get to spend time with family, I don't have to drive to work, it means I get to make a really nice dinner. Joe, some things that sound really basic, but then the more you do that, and the more you ingrain that thought process of every time there's a negative, you look for, I don't like the word positive, but you look for the light in it. Then you eventually find that as soon as there's a negative, you automatically start doing that. That's what Mo Gaddett says. If you ever listen to him, like he's a happiness expert, he says like just rewiring the brain. That's neuroplasticity rewiring, because you're rewiring your thought process. That's how habits are formed. It's the same in your thought process, and it becomes subconscious. So then now whenever, and a really good example is I remember I got a brand new truck, Raptor, dream car, and I've told you this loads, and I reversed it out of my drive and I heard a slap. And like I heard a slap and I was like, oh my God. And I looked and a wheelie bin hit. And I think most people's reaction would have been, holy fuck, I just drove my brand new truck worth 50,000 sterling into a fucking bin and marked it. My first thought was, thank fuck that wasn't a kid. Thank fuck that is, and excuse my French, but I
think it's where I don't care.
I always think it's one of these things where I just think, how can the situation be worse? And then I immediately get grateful. It's like
the life hack.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, for example, like if you go and the queue's so long for something, I'm like, well, this could be worse. The queue could be longer. The food could be shit. It's good if there's a queue. And then I immediately start looping around, because there always is that worst case scenario. For me, it's like when I think of that, and I always think like, how could things be worse? Then I'm like immediately like feeling 10 times better. It's like a really good example. It's like my MacBook broke when I were last year in Spain for the event. Like the week before I was doing a speaking gig, it broke. And the first thing I remember saying, like my ones were ringing me being like, you're not panicking. I was like, no, I was like, it'd be worse if I couldn't afford another one. I was like, Joe, that's that. I was like, there's nothing else I can do. I was like, but it'd be a lot worse if I actually couldn't afford one. I was like, I can afford one. So I was like, that's my problem solved.
Yeah, that completely changed my life. I was a very negative individual beforehand. And, you know, I actually got it from Tony Robbins. It's, what are you truly grateful for? And instead of just saying what you're grateful for, like actually closing your eyes and putting yourself in that situation. And, you know, if you knew me back in the day, you will know that I thought that was in the balls, you know. But when you're in a place where you feel negative and, you know, life's not playing out the way you want it to, like you'll do everything to feel better. And that's one thing I threw myself into, is like actually asking myself and putting myself into it every single day. Like I was always grateful for my granny, and like really pictured in my head her coming to the back door, hello Daniel, in her wee accent. Granny, big shout out.